July 5th, 2001, 4:17 a.m. The security guard's flashlight cuts through the pre-dawn darkness on Moore Park's Business District Drive. He's heard popping sounds, fireworks, he assumes, holiday stragglers still celebrating. Then he sees it. A champagne-colored sedan, dead center in the road, engine running, headlights blazing, windshield wipers scraping back and forth against dry glass, driver's door hanging open like a scream frozen in time. No driver. He approaches slowly. Something's wrong. The air feels wrong. A woman's flip-flop lies on the asphalt, its twin tucked beneath the driver's seat, as if she'd been ripped from it mid-step. His flashlight beam sweeps across the interior. Red. Everywhere. Red. Blood spatter across the dashboard. Blood pooling in the driver's seat. Blood smeared across the steering wheel in the desperate pattern of grasping hands. The windshield shattered into a spider's web of bullet holes. 3, 4, 5 puncture wounds. The driver's window completely blown out. And then he sees them, shell casings glinting on the pavement. Not from a handgun, not from a shotgun, from an assault rifle. Someone had turned this quiet suburban street into a war zone. Someone had unloaded an AK-47 into this car, and whoever was behind that wheel, whoever left those bloody handprints, is gone. What the security guard doesn't know yet, what the arriving officers won't discover for hours, what will haunt investigators for weeks, is that the woman who drove this car isn't dead yet. She's being driven through the darkness toward a canyon that locals call the body dump. And the man behind the wheel isn't a stranger. He's a predator who's been perfecting his craft for years, a monster hiding in plain sight who's already destroyed 13 lives. This is the night Ventura County realizes they've been living alongside pure evil. If you're fascinated by cases where justice finally prevails, make sure to subscribe for more solved cold cases just like this one. This isn't just another missing person story. It's a journey into how one microscopic piece of evidence brought down a serial predator who thought he'd gotten away with it. The forensic breakthrough in this case changed how investigators hunt for serial offenders in California. And I'm curious, where are you watching from today? Let me know in the comments section. Moore Park, California. Summer of 2001. Population 30,000. The kind of place where strip malls and family restaurants line the main drag. Where the biggest excitement is Friday night football games at Moore Park High. Where parents let their kids ride bikes until the streetlights come on because nothing bad ever happens here. It's a bedroom community tucked into Ventura County, 35 miles northwest of Los Angeles, but a world away from the city's chaos. Families move here for the good schools and safe streets. For the small town feeling where everyone knows the crossing guard's name and the local coffee shop remembers your order. The town sits in a valley, surrounded by golden hills that turn brown in the summer heat. In early July, temperatures push into the high 80s. Swimming pools overflow with kids on summer break. Garage doors stay open, front doors stay unlocked. Independence Day, 2001, falls on a Wednesday. All across Moore Park, families fire up barbecues. American flags hang from porches. By nightfall, fireworks explode over the valley. Legal ones from the community show. Illegal ones from backyards where neighbors look the other way because it's the 4th of July. Nobody's thinking about danger. Nobody's watching their back. Nobody suspects that while they're celebrating freedom, someone is hunting. And 20-year-old Megan Barroso has absolutely no idea she's already been selected. I would like you to kindly comment the exact time you're watching this. I need to see how many people are uncovering this at past midnight when this attack happened. Then drop your location below. And if you've ever stepped foot in Ventura County, or if you're there right now, I need you to comment, "I know this place." March 15th, 1981. Megan Barroso enters the world in Camarillo, just 15 miles from Moore Park. When her parents divorce during her childhood, she splits time between them, but her mother becomes her anchor. Her father remarries, and soon Megan has a baby half-brother she adores, visiting whenever she can to hold him, play with him, watch him grow. Dancing becomes Megan's language. Not the kind of dancing you do at parties, but real training. Ballet, jazz, contemporary. The discipline of it, the precision, the way movement can tell a story without words. It consumes her. During high school, financial hardship forces her mother to relocate 3 hours north to Templeton, a town so small it barely shows up on maps. Megan has to leave her dance studio, her school, her entire support system. She endures it until graduation. Then she escapes back to what feels like home. At 20, Megan has built a life for herself in Moore Park. She rents a modest apartment, the kind of first place young adults take pride in. Second-hand furniture, posters on the walls, more personality than polish. She enrolls at Moore Park Community College, still figuring out her major, still deciding who she wants to become. She works as a purchasing assistant at a clothing manufacturing company, the kind of entry-level job that pays rent and teaches responsibility. But here's what makes Megan real. She leaves post-it notes in the office break room. Having a rough day? This cookie is for you. She texts her baby brother's mother, asking for photos because she misses him even though she saw him 3 days ago. She's the friend who remembers your coffee order, who shows up when she says she will, who doesn't cancel plans. She's meticulous about being on time. Responsible, to a fault. The kind of person who sets 3 alarms because being late to her 7 a.m. shift would feel like letting people down. July 4th, 2001 is supposed to be perfect. Her friend Lindsay is throwing a family barbecue and Megan arrives early to help set up. She's wearing jeans, a light jacket over a tank top, and flip-flops, the unofficial uniform of California summer. The afternoon unfolds exactly as it should. Burgers on the grill, watermelon, music, laughter that carries across the backyard. As evening falls, the group receives an invitation to a beach party in a neighboring town. Megan leaves her car at Lindsay's house. They pile into a friend's vehicle, windows down, radio up. That particular joy of being young on a summer night when anything feels possible. The beach party is low-key. They hang out inside for a while, then walk down to the sand to watch fireworks explode over the Pacific. Around midnight, they stop by another friend's house before getting dropped back at Lindsay's around 2 a.m. Lindsay offers her couch. Just crash here, you don't have to drive. But Megan has work in 5 hours. She hugs Lindsay goodbye, and in that hug, she accidentally knocks her purse off her shoulder. The contents spill across the driveway: wallet, keys, lip gloss, 2 phones. They both crouch down, laughing, gathering everything in the dark. Neither of them realizes Megan has grabbed Lindsay's phone instead of her own. Megan drives away. 3 minutes later, Lindsay calls her own number from the landline. Megan answers, laughs at their mistake, turns the car around. 2:47 a.m. Megan drops off the phone, hugs Lindsay again, and leaves for the second time. That exchange, that simple mistake, that return trip, will save Megan's life for exactly 1 hour and 17 minutes. Because it establishes a precise timeline that places her on Moore Park's empty streets at the exact moment a monster is prowling them. She has no idea she's just met the person who will turn her name into a cautionary tale. She has no idea that in less than 2 hours, search dogs will be tracking her scent. She has no idea that her flip-flops will become evidence markers. She has no idea that every single thing about this perfect night, the party, the fireworks, the laughter, has been a countdown to horror. The call comes in at 4:23 a.m. Abandoned vehicle, possible DUI, Business District Drive. Officers arrive expecting exactly that. Some drunk holiday reveler who crashed and fled. It happens every 4th of July. People overestimate their ability to drive home. They panic when they hit something. They run, but drunk drivers don't leave behind assault rifle shells. Officer Michael Torres is the first to process what he's seeing. 22 years on the force, seen everything from domestic disputes to gang shootings. This is different. The bullet trajectories, he counts them while forensics photographs the scene, tell a story of sustained fire. This wasn't warning shots. This wasn't robbery. This was an execution attempt. We're looking at 5 entry points through the windshield. the forensics tech calls out, camera flash illuminating the spider-webbed glass. 2 through the driver's side window. Shooter was positioned to the left and slightly behind the vehicle. Torres crouches by the shell casings. AK-47. That's my guess. Ballistics will confirm. Here's what doesn't make sense. The blood. There's enough of it to indicate serious injury. Pooled in the seat, smeared across the steering wheel, spattered on the dashboard. But there's not enough for a fatal wound. No arterial spray, no brain matter, and crucially, no blood trail outside the vehicle. If she got out under her own power, she would have bled on the pavement. If she died in the seat, she'd still be there. Which means someone moved her. Someone pulled her from this car and took her somewhere else. Torres peers into the back seat. Fast food wrappers, a Moorpark College textbook, a CD case, Destiny's Child. The mundane debris of a young person's life, now a crime scene. Under the driver's seat, wedged against the rail, is a cell phone, blood-smeared but intact, and a purse, also spattered, containing a wallet with no ID, but a Moorpark Community College student card in the side pocket. No name, but it's a start. The car's license plate traces back to a rental company. At 5:47 a.m., a groggy manager pulls the contract. The vehicle was rented to Megan Barroso, age 20, address in Moorpark. She'd picked it up 3 days earlier because her own car was in the shop. By 6:15 a.m., officers are calling every emergency room within a 30-mile radius. GSW victim, female, early 20s, possible abdominal wound. Nothing, no Jane Does matching her description, no gunshot admissions at all that night. At 7:30 a.m., 2 detectives knock on Megan's apartment door. No answer. Her car, the one in the shop, sits in the parking lot with a flat tire. They peer through her windows, lights off, mail piling up, no sign of forced entry. They contact her emergency listing, her mother in Templeton. The woman's voice goes tight with panic the moment they identify themselves. Is she hurt? Where is she? What happened? Ma'am, we're trying to locate Megan. When did you last speak with her? 2 days ago, Tuesday evening. She was fine. She was going to a barbecue for the 4th. What's going on? The detective chooses his words carefully. Megan's rental car was found abandoned early this morning. There are signs of an altercation. We need to speak with anyone who saw her yesterday. The mother provides Lindsay's number. By 8 a.m., detectives are at Lindsay's house, and she's recounting every detail of the previous day, while her parents hover anxiously in the kitchen. She left here at 2:47, Lindsay says, checking her call log. I know because I called my own phone when I realized she took it by mistake. We laughed about it. She seemed totally fine, happy. We'd had such a good day. Did anything unusual happen at the party? Anyone pay unwanted attention to her? Lindsay hesitates. There was this guy, John. It was his beach house where the party was. He kept asking me to introduce him to Megan, but I shut it down. He's kind of a player, and Megan's not like that. But he never approached her directly or anything. He was just being annoying. Was he at the party the whole time? Yeah, tons of people can confirm that. He was still there when we left. The detectives verify this quickly. John has an airtight alibi. 30 witnesses place him at his home until after 3 a.m. But here's what stops the investigators cold. Megan has no enemies. None. They interview her co-workers, her college classmates, her dance instructor from high school, who she still visits occasionally. The portrait that emerges is of someone almost frustratingly wholesome. She doesn't date casually. She's never been in a serious relationship. No ex-boyfriends with grudges, no workplace conflicts, no debt, no drugs, no drama. She's the person who apologizes when you bump into her, one co-worker tells them. I can't imagine anyone wanting to hurt her. By noon on July 5th, the case has gone from abandoned vehicle to suspected kidnapping. Search and rescue teams deploy. Canine units arrive. The dogs pick up Megan's scent from the driver's seat, track it approximately 15 feet from the car, then lose it completely, as if she vanished into thin air, or more likely, was placed into another vehicle. Helicopters with infrared sensors sweep the hills. Volunteers comb through brush along the riverbank. Every dumpster within a 2-mile radius gets searched. Nothing. The media picks up the story by evening news. 20-year-old Moore Park woman missing after apparent highway shooting. By the next morning, it's front-page news. AK-47 attack leaves young woman missing, feared dead. The community reacts with terror. An assault rifle attack on a random driver. It could have been anyone. It could be anyone next. Parents stop letting teenagers drive at night. Gun sales spike. Anxiety ripples through every suburban neighborhood. The police are under immense pressure. The mayor holds a press conference promising every available resource. The reward fund for information hits $25,000 within 48 hours, donated by local businesses and residents. But behind the scenes, investigators are hitting walls. No witnesses. No surveillance cameras on that stretch of road. No forensic evidence beyond the shell casings and the blood. The person who did this is a ghost. What they don't know yet, what won't surface for 3 more weeks, is that the ghost has a name, and he's sitting in a jail cell 20 miles away on a completely unrelated charge, thinking he's gotten away with it. Remember that detail about the assault rifle. Remember that the shooter sideswiped Megan's car before opening fire. Remember that she lost control and veered onto the median, but somehow disappeared from the vehicle. These details will matter. They'll matter in ways the investigators can't possibly imagine yet. July 8th, 2001, 3 days after Megan vanishes. A specialized forensics team is examining Megan's rental car for the 3rd time. Using techniques the initial sweep missed, they spray luminol across the interior. Under UV light, the blood pattern tells a more detailed story. Megan was hit once. The bullet entered through the driver's side window and struck her in the lower abdomen. Not immediately fatal, but incapacitating, agonizing, the kind of wound where you know you're hurt badly, but you're still conscious, still aware, still terrified. After she crashed onto the median, she reached for her phone. The blood smear pattern on her purse confirms this. She was trying to call for help, but she didn't make the call. Something, or someone, stopped her. The forensics team finds something else. Scratch marks on the driver's side door, consistent with another vehicle making contact. Paint transfer samples are collected and sent to the lab. Burgundy, dark red, a common color, but it's something. Meanwhile, the dive into Megan's digital footprint yields nothing useful. Her cell phone records show normal patterns. Calls to friends, her mother, her workplace. Her bank account shows typical transactions. No large withdrawals, no suspicious payments. Her social media profiles, MySpace barely used, contain cheerful photos and inside jokes with friends. She's exactly who everyone says she is. But the detectives catch a break when they examine the rental car's data system, essentially a black box that logs mechanical events. It records that the vehicle reached speeds of 78 mph on Business District Drive, a street with a 40 mph limit, then sudden braking, then acceleration again to 65 mph, then impact with the median at 47 mph. A ballistics expert reconstructs the attack sequence. The shooter sideswiped Megan's car while both vehicles were moving. She accelerated to escape, reaching nearly 80 mph on a residential street. She likely thought she'd lost him because she stopped at a red light about a quarter mile up the road. That's where he was waiting. That's where he opened fire through her windshield. She floored it again, driving past him. That's when he fired the shot that hit her through the side window. She lost control immediately after. This wasn't random road rage, the ballistics expert tells investigators. Random doesn't wait at a traffic light for the victim to arrive. Someone was hunting her. But why? Everything in Megan's life suggests she should have no enemies, no stalkers, no reason for targeted violence. The tip line has been overwhelmed. Over 400 calls in the first 72 hours. Most are well-meaning but useless. Unrelated suspicious activity. conspiracy theories, psychics claiming visions. But one call stands out. An anonymous mail caller reports that on the morning of July 5th, around 6:00 a.m., he saw a man loading what appeared to be a body into the trunk of a burgundy sedan in the parking area near the Santa Susana Mountains. The location is significant. Locals call these mountains the body dump because of how many murder victims have been discovered there over the years. Detectives swarm the area. Search dogs, volunteer crews, professional rescue teams. They spend days combing through rugged terrain, checking ravines and caves and dense brush. They find old homeless encampments. They find trash. They find wildlife. They don't find Megan. The burgundy sedan lead goes nowhere. No other witnesses come forward. The anonymous caller never contacts police again. By July 12th, a week after her disappearance, the FBI joins the investigation. They bring profiling expertise and national databases. They run Megan's case against patterns of other highway attacks, other missing women, other assaults involving assault rifles. Nothing matches. This attack appears to be unique. The press conference on day 7 is somber. Megan's mother makes a tearful plea for information, for her daughter's safe return, for anyone who knows anything to come forward. Behind her, Megan's photo fills the screen, smiling, vibrant, alive. The juxtaposition is gutting. "Please," her mother says, voice breaking. "She's just a baby, someone's daughter, someone's friend. If you know anything at all, please help us bring her home." The detectives know what they can't say publicly. They're no longer searching for a living victim. They're searching for a body. Every hour that passes makes survival less likely. The bullet wound, the blood loss, the summer heat. If Megan's alive, she needs immediate medical attention, and they have no idea where to look. But then something strange happens. A pattern emerges that nobody was looking for. A detective named Sarah Chen is reviewing old case files, searching for similar attacks. She's not finding highway shootings, but she stumbles across something else. Sexual assault cases with unusual commonalities. June 1999. A woman named Joanna was attacked in her bedroom by a masked man with a knife, who forced her into her own car, drove her to a park, and assaulted her on a pre-placed blanket before driving her home. July 2001, just 4 days before Megan disappeared, a woman named Donna was grabbed off the street by a masked man, forced into his car, assaulted, then driven to a residence where the assault continued before he drove her back and helped her find her phone. Chen reads Donna's description of the attacker carefully. He knew details about her life, where she worked, her schedule. He was organized, prepared. He comforted her afterward, promised to release her in time for work, offered her a soda. The crime screams serial predator, sophisticated, experienced. And here's what makes Chen's instincts fire: the assault locations. Both women were taken to prepared sites. The attacker had stalked them, planned. The attacks set the stage. Chen calls in Sharon Hagen, a criminal profiler with expertise in sexual predators. Hagen has worked the Zodiac case files, consulted on dozens of unsolved assaults. She reviews the evidence and delivers an assessment that makes the room go cold. "Your AK-47 shooter isn't a road rage incident," Hagen says. "He's a sexual predator who escalated. He's done this before. He'll do it again. And Megan Barroso wasn't a random target. He selected her." The detectives resist this theory. The evidence doesn't fit. There's no sexual assault at the crime scene. No indication that Megan was targeted for anything other than being in the wrong place at the wrong time. But Hagen is insistent. He had a rifle because he's escalating. He's moving from controlled assaults to something more violent. And he took her somewhere. He had time with her. You need to look at sexual predators with access to assault rifles. The problem? That's not a common profile. Sexual predators typically use knives, ligatures, physical intimidation. Military-grade weaponry doesn't fit the pattern. So the investigation splits into two camps: those who believe this was random violence and those who believe it was targeted predation. Resources get divided. focus gets diffused. And while the detectives argue theories, while search teams comb through mountains, while tip lines ring off the hook, Vincent Sanchez is sitting 20 miles away in county jail on a burglary charge, making a phone call to his roommate. "There's a bag in the dumpster behind the house," he says, voice tight with urgency. "I need you to get rid of it." What nobody knows yet, what won't be discovered for another 12 days, is that this bag contains videotapes, dozens of them. And on those tapes are the answers to every question the detectives are asking. But for now, the bag sits in a dumpster, surrounded by trash, while the search for Megan Barroso enters its second week, with zero leads and fading hope. Right now, somewhere in California, there's another Vincent Sanchez. Another predator who's perfected his system, who's convinced he's smarter than everyone else, who's counting on you to watch this, feel disturbed, and then forget by tomorrow. If you're not like these predators, if you believe Megan deserved better than to become a statistic, hit subscribe right now. This channel exposes the predators who depend on our silence, on our short attention spans, on our willingness to scroll past. Megan Barroso was planning her future. She was working, studying, being a good friend, and a monster with a system stole all of that from her. Subscribe if you believe we have a responsibility to remember. Subscribe if you believe these stories matter. Show him that we're watching. Show him that we don't forget. July 26, 2001. 21 days after Megan disappeared. In Simi Valley, 20 miles east of Moore Park, local police respond to a burglary report. A homeowner claims his neighbor broke into his house and stole property. The neighbor, 31-year-old Vincent Sanchez, is arrested without incident. It's a routine arrest, small-time burglary. The arresting officers have never heard of Megan Barroso. They have no idea that the Santa Susana Mountains, where search teams are still looking for her body, are visible from Sanchez's backyard. Sanchez is booked, fingerprinted, and placed in a holding cell. He makes his one phone call to his roommate. The request is simple. "Get rid of the bag I threw in the dumpster. The cops can't find it." The roommate assumes the bag contains stolen items from the burglary. He retrieves it from the dumpster behind their house, a nondescript black duffel bag, heavy and bulky. When he opens it at home, he expects to find electronics maybe, jewelry, something that explains why Sanchez would risk a call about it. Instead, he finds videotapes, dozens of them, unlabeled. Curiosity drives him to play one. The footage shows a woman, bound with duct tape, lying on a floor. A man in a ski mask enters the frame. He speaks to her calmly, almost conversationally. The roommate recognizes the voice immediately. Vincent Sanchez, the guy he's been living with for 8 months. What happens next on the tape makes him sick. He fast forwards through it, then loads another tape. Different woman, same mask, same voice, same pattern of control and violence. He checks another tape. The location is familiar. It's their living room. Sanchez was bringing victims to their shared house. The roommate's hands shake as he looks through the rest of the bag's contents. Women's underwear, at least a dozen pairs. Photographs of women in explicit poses, some clearly unaware they're being photographed. And then a photo he recognizes, Sanchez's girlfriend, Maria, in a compromising position. He's known Maria for 2 years. She seems happy with Sanchez, always smiling when they're together. He has no idea if she knows these photos exist. At 9:47 p.m., the roommate calls the police. "I need to report. I found videotapes, assault tapes. My roommate, he's already in custody for burglary, but this is... You need to see this." Officers arrive within 15 minutes. They take possession of the bag, then execute a search warrant for Sanchez's bedroom. What they find transforms a petty burglary case into something monstrous. 43 additional videotapes, stored in boxes under his bed. A video camera, with a tape still inside, later revealed to contain footage shot just 1 week earlier. More than 60 photographs of women in various states of undress. 23 pairs of women's underwear, different sizes, clearly from different victims. 3 hunting knives, a shotgun, handcuffs, rope duct tape, a ski mask, detailed notes about women's schedules, addresses, and routines. And something else, a woman's jacket, lying crumpled in the corner of his closet. Light blue, size small, spattered with what appears to be dried blood. The detective who catalogues these items recognizes that jacket immediately from the case file photos. It matches the description of what Megan Barroso was wearing the night she disappeared. July 27th, 2001, 2:01 a.m. Sharon Hagan receives a phone call at home from Detective Sarah Chen. "You need to get down here, now. We found him." Hagan arrives at the station to find controlled chaos. Conference rooms filled with videotapes, evidence techs processing women's belongings, detectives reviewing footage that makes seasoned officers leave the room. Sanchez is in interview room 3, lawyered up, saying nothing. The tapes tell the story he won't. Hagan watches for hours, making notes, identifying patterns, counting victims. When she's finished, she delivers her assessment. At least 13 victims, possibly more. He's been doing this for at least 3 years, probably longer, and he's been refining his technique. The modus operandi is consistent. He stalks victims for weeks, learning their schedules and routines. He breaks into their homes when they're gone, studying layouts and learning entry points. He takes photographs without their knowledge. He collects intelligence, where they work, who they know, and when they're most vulnerable. When he attacks, he's already in control before they know what's happening. He uses specific phrases to establish dominance. "I know where you live, I know where you work, I know everything about you." The violation is psychological as much as physical. After the assault, he often comforts victims, offers them water or soda, promises to let them go, helps them find their belongings. This isn't mercy, it's manipulation, making victims less likely to immediately report because they're confused by the kindness that follows the violence. He videotapes everything, not just the assaults, but the conversations before and after. He wants to relive the control, the fear, the power. "This is someone who's made predation his hobby," Hagan explains to the assembled task force. "This is his passion project, and he's been getting away with it because he's smart. He picks victims who are alone. He attacks in places where screaming won't bring help. He never leaves forensic evidence, and he tells them, 'No one will believe you.' But now they have the tapes. Now they have the evidence. And once they show victims these recordings, identification will be easy." Detective Chen brings Donna down to the station, the woman who was assaulted just 4 days before Megan disappeared. They set up a lineup, 5 men of similar build and coloring, Sanchez among them. "Take your time," Chen tells her. "There's no pressure to—" "Number 3, Donna interrupts, pointing at Sanchez without hesitation. "That's him. I'll never forget his eyes." With Donna's identification and the videotapes, the DA has enough to charge Sanchez with multiple counts of sexual assault. But that's not why Detective Chen called Sharon Hagan in the middle of the night. He has a roommate who owns an AK-47, Chen says, and Sanchez had access to it. Hagan's eyes widen. "Show me." They drive to the house where Sanchez lived. The roommate, still shaken, still processing that he shared walls with a monster, leads them to his gun safe. Inside, an AK-47 rifle. "Has Vincent ever used this?" Chen asks. "Yeah, we went shooting a few times in the desert. He's familiar with it. And—" The roommate pauses. "The cleaning rod is missing, the metal piece that clips under the barrel. It disappeared a few weeks ago. I thought I'd just lost it." Chen and Hagan exchange looks. A cleaning rod from an AK-47 was found near Megan's abandoned car. It was used to prove that the weapon that fired on her vehicle was, in fact, an AK-47. "We need to search his room again," Chen says. "Every inch." The second search happens at dawn. This time, they're looking specifically for connections to Megan, and this time, they find them. The jacket with blood spatter, rushed to the lab for DNA analysis. Under Sanchez's bed, Photographs. Not sexual photos, but surveillance photos. Women going about their daily lives, unaware they're being watched. The detectives recognize several faces from the videotapes. These are victims he stalked before attacking. And then they find Megan, a single photograph, low quality, like it was taken from a distance. She's walking to her car, keys in hand. The location is recognizable, the parking lot of her workplace. He'd been watching her, planning, waiting for his moment. The timeline comes together quickly after that. July 4th. Sanchez spent the evening at home, drinking with roommates and friends. Around 10 p.m., guests started leaving. By midnight, he was alone with one roommate, who went to bed around 1 a.m., leaving Sanchez on the living room couch. 2 a.m. Roommate wakes up to use the bathroom. Sanchez is gone. 4 a.m. Roommate wakes again, hears water running outside, looks out the window and sees Sanchez washing his pickup truck in the driveway at 4 a.m. 5:30 a.m. Other roommate wakes up, sees Sanchez still cleaning the truck. Interior shampooed, exterior scrubbed. The truck is spotless. Later that day, roommate's girlfriend notices a fresh scratch running along the driver's side of Sanchez's truck. When asked, Sanchez claims someone sideswiped him in traffic. The detectives interview Sanchez's best friend, who provides crucial context. On July 4th, Sanchez was distraught. His girlfriend, Maria, wasn't answering his calls. Their relationship was falling apart. She was at a family party at her sister's house. Her sister's house was 2 blocks from Lindsay's house, where Megan spent the evening. The theory crystallizes. Sanchez drove to his girlfriend's family party, probably hoping to confront her or win her back. He brought the AK-47. He'd made threats to her family members before, telling them to stop interfering in the relationship. Maybe he planned to intimidate them. Maybe he just wanted to feel powerful. But when he arrived, the party was over. House dark, street empty. He sat there, angry and drunk and armed, and that's when he saw her. Megan, young, alone, saying goodbye to a friend, getting into a car, an easy target, a way to reclaim the control he felt slipping away. So he followed her. He didn't plan to attack Megan specifically, Hagen explains, but he's an opportunistic predator. When the opportunity presented itself, an isolated woman late at night, no witnesses, he took it. And he had the rifle because of the other situation. It was pure, terrible timing for her, pure luck for him. But the luck runs out when they process the jacket. The lab finds microscopic blood spatter. DNA testing confirms what everyone already suspects. It's Megan's blood. They test Sanchez's truck next, using luminol. Under UV light, the interior glows. Massive bloodstains everywhere. Driver's seat, passenger seat, floor mat, dashboard. He'd scrubbed it so thoroughly that DNA extraction is impossible, but the luminol doesn't lie. This truck carried someone who was bleeding heavily. The final piece of evidence is almost poetic in its specificity. A forensic examiner finds a single piece of glitter embedded in the truck's upholstery. Not regular glitter, hexagonal glitter that changes color depending on viewing angle. Rare, distinctive. The same glitter was found in Megan's hair and on her jacket. Lindsay had brought a container of it to the 4th of July party. The girls had put it in their hair for fun, and the same glitter, examined under high magnification microscopy, was found on the AK-47 in Sanchez's roommate's gun safe. A single piece of glitter links the weapon, the truck, and the victim. On July 29th, 3 weeks after Megan disappeared, Vincent Sanchez is charged with her kidnapping and assault. But everyone knows they're still missing the most important piece. Where is she? Detectives interview Sanchez's best friend again, pushing harder this time. Did Vincent ever talk about places to hide things? Places where no one would look? The friend hesitates, then remembers. Once, maybe a year ago, we were hiking in the Santa Susana Pass. He pointed at this canyon and said, "If you ever needed to hide something permanently, This is where you do it. Rough terrain, no trails, nobody goes down there. The Santa Susana Mountains, where the anonymous tip placed a burgundy sedan 24 days earlier, where search teams had already looked, but not thoroughly enough. The terrain is brutal, steep ravines, dense brush, rattlesnakes, and summer heat that makes the search physically exhausting. On August 1st, search teams return to the mountains with renewed focus. This time, they bring cadaver dogs specifically trained to detect decomposition. And this time, within 6 hours, one of the dogs alerts at the edge of a ravine half a mile from any trail. At the bottom, partially concealed by brush, human remains in advanced decomposition. A woman, young, wearing someone else's underwear. On her hand, a distinctive ring with a small blue stone. Megan's mother identifies the ring immediately. That's hers. I gave it to her for her 18th birthday. DNA testing confirms it. Megan Barroso, age 20, missing for 27 days, has been found. The autopsy tells the story that Megan can't. Dr. Richard Palmer, chief medical examiner for Ventura County, works through the night to process what's left of the evidence. Single gunshot wound to the lower left abdomen. The bullet trajectory shows she was seated when shot, the round entering at a downward angle through the driver's side window. It missed her major organs, stomach, intestines, kidneys, but tore through muscle tissue and caused significant internal bleeding. This wound wouldn't have killed her immediately, Dr. Palmer reports. We're talking hours, not minutes. She would have been conscious, in tremendous pain, and aware of what was happening to her. The implications are devastating. She didn't die quickly in the car. She was alive when Sanchez took her, alive during the drive to the mountains, alive when the condition of the remains prevents determining exact time or cause of death. The summer heat and animal activity have destroyed too much tissue, but certain details are preserved. She's wearing underwear that doesn't belong to her, underwear that matches pairs found in Sanchez's bedroom. This is his signature, forcing victims to wear underwear he provides, another layer of control and violation. The forensic team processes every inch of Megan's body for evidence. They find that single piece of glitter in her hair, hexagonal, color shifting, identical to the samples from Sanchez's truck and the AK-47. They document the ring, her clothing, the position of the body. Everything suggests she was carried or dragged to this location, then left here to die. Back at the station, detectives build their case methodically. They have the videotapes showing Sanchez's pattern of behavior with other victims. They have Donna's identification. They have the physical evidence linking him to Megan. They have the timeline placing him at the scene. They have witnesses describing his suspicious behavior the morning of July 5th. But they need more. They need to understand exactly what happened in those hours between the highway shooting and when Megan's body was left in the canyon. Sanchez, represented by a defense attorney, isn't talking. But his earlier interrogations for the assault charges provide insight into his psychology. "You have to understand," he'd told detectives before his lawyer shut it down. "I never wanted to hurt anyone permanently. I just needed to feel in control. My whole life, I've never been in control of anything. Not my childhood, not my relationships, not my career. But with them," he'd trailed off, and his attorney had ended the interview. That partial confession reveals the core of his pathology: power and control. The assaults weren't about sexual gratification. They were about domination, about being the one in charge for once, about making someone else feel as helpless as he'd always felt. Sharon Hagan reviews the complete case file and provides her final profile. Vincent Sanchez is what we call a power reassurance rapist who escalated to murder. He started with break-ins and voyeurism. The photos prove this. He escalated to home invasions and assaults where he could control the environment completely. And on July 4th, 2001, he escalated again. The rifle wasn't part of his usual pattern, Hagan continues. He brought it for an unrelated reason, probably to intimidate his girlfriend's family. But when that plan fell apart and he saw Megan, His two pathologies merged: the predator who needed control and the angry, rejected boyfriend with a military weapon. That combination was lethal. The investigation expands to verify how many victims Sanchez actually has. The videotapes document 13 assaults, but detectives suspect there are more. Victims who never reported, attacks he didn't record, women who moved away or stayed silent out of fear. They create a timeline of Sanchez's life, looking for opportunities: 1989 to 1992, military service, training with various weapons including assault rifles, honorable discharge; 1993-1995, work security jobs, access to buildings and master keys; 1996-1998, unemployment punctuated by odd jobs. Criminal record shows 1 arrest for trespassing, charges dropped. 1999, first documented assault, Joanna's case. Attack methodology is already sophisticated, suggesting prior experience. 1999-2001, at least 13 confirmed assaults, possibly more. July 2001, escalation to attempted murder and actual murder. The pattern shows increasing frequency and boldness. By 2001, he was attacking women every few weeks. He was taking bigger risks, like assaulting Donna in broad daylight. He was losing control of his compulsion. If he hadn't been caught for the burglary, Detective Chen tells the task force, he would have killed again. Megan wouldn't have been his only murder victim. The escalation pattern is textbook. He'd crossed a line. Murder gave him an even greater sense of power than assault. He would have chased that feeling again. Forensic accountants trace Sanchez's finances, looking for patterns that might reveal other victims or evidence. They find nothing remarkable. He lived paycheck to paycheck, worked construction jobs, had no significant savings. The videotapes and women's belongings weren't purchased for the attacks. They were trophies taken from victims. Detectives interview every person on those tapes who can be identified. It's brutal work, showing women footage of their worst trauma, asking them to relive details for the sake of prosecution. But every victim agrees to testify. Every single one wants to see him locked away forever. As the case against Sanchez solidifies, the DA faces a crucial decision: death penalty or life imprisonment. California hasn't executed anyone since 2006, and there's a de facto moratorium on executions. But the death penalty sends a message, and the DA believes this case merits it. The aggravating factors are clear: kidnapping, torture, use of a firearm, depravity of mind, lack of remorse, multiple victims. Any one of these could justify the death penalty. Combined, they paint a picture of someone who shouldn't exist in society. Look at what Vincent Sanchez did. Look at how he stalked Megan, how he planned this, how he stole her life for nothing more than a twisted need to feel powerful. 13 women that we know of, 13 lives he destroyed because his ego was more important than their humanity. If you can't stand predators like this, if you believe women deserve to walk down the street without fear, comment, "I stand with Megan," right now. Let Vincent Sanchez know that his victims are not forgotten. Only people like Sanchez, narcissists who need to dominate others to feel like they matter, will scroll past this. Prove you're better. Prove you believe every one of those 13 victims mattered. Prove you believe Megan deserved to finish college, to dance, to live her life. Comment below. Show this monster that we're watching, that we remember, that his pathetic need for control doesn't get to win. August 15th, 2001. Prosecutors are preparing their case when Detective Chen receives a phone call from a woman in Oregon. "I saw the news about Vincent Sanchez. I need to tell you what he did to me. Her name is Rachel. In 1997, she lived in Simi Valley. She was 19. And one night, she woke up to find a masked man in her bedroom with a knife. He said he was a police officer investigating break-ins," Rachel explains, voice shaking even 4 years later. "He said I fit the description of a suspect and needed to come with him for questioning. He walked me to a car. I was so scared I just obeyed. He drove me to this park and he'd already put a blanket down. He'd planned everything." "Did you report it?" Yes, the police took my statement. They tried to find him, but I never heard anything after that. The case just died. Chen pulls the 1997 case file. Everything matches Sanchez's pattern. The prepared sight, the knife, the mask, the methodical control. Rachel's case is from before any of the videotaped assaults. He was refining his technique even then. Over the next 2 weeks, 3 more women come forward, all from before 1999. All with similar stories: masked attacker, stalking behavior, sophisticated planning, knife as weapon. None of these attacks were videotaped. None of the victims could identify their attacker afterward, but the methodology is unmistakable. The detectives now believe Sanchez's actual victim count may exceed 20 women. He'd been doing this for at least 4 years before he started recording, and there are likely other victims who never reported or who've never connected their assault to the Sanchez case. We're not dealing with someone who suddenly snapped on July 4th, Chen tells the prosecution team. We're dealing with one of the most prolific serial predators in California history, and Megan Barroso is the only victim we know of who died. The others survived because he was careful. He let them live. But with Megan, something went wrong. Either she fought back harder than the others, or the gunshot wound was worse than he expected, or he panicked. For some reason, with her, he couldn't maintain control, so he killed her to cover his tracks. This realization adds another layer to the tragedy. Megan wasn't murdered because Sanchez wanted to kill her. She was murdered because his system broke down, because the shooting drew more attention than he'd planned, because she was bleeding too much, because letting her live meant getting caught. She died to protect his secret. October 4th, 2001. Vincent Sanchez appears in court for arraignment on murder charges. He's facing 62 counts total: murder, kidnapping, sexual assault, weapons charges, burglary. The courtroom is packed with victims, families, media, and citizens who followed this case from the beginning. Megan's mother sits in the front row. She hasn't missed a single hearing. She stares at Sanchez with an intensity that makes spectators uncomfortable. When he glances her direction, she doesn't look away. Sanchez attempts to plead guilty to second-degree murder, a maneuver that would remove the death penalty from consideration. But Judge Robert Martinez rejects it. Mr. Sanchez, your plea does not acknowledge premeditation, deliberation, or the special circumstances alleged by the prosecution. Those elements are crucial to this case. If you wish to plead guilty, you must do so to the charges as filed, including first-degree murder with special circumstances. Otherwise, we proceed to trial. Sanchez's attorney requests a sidebar. They confer for 10 minutes. When they return, Sanchez maintains his not guilty plea for the murder charge while pleading guilty to most of the sexual assault charges. It's a strategic move. Admit to the assaults where the video evidence is overwhelming, but fight the murder charge where the evidence is more circumstantial. Force the prosecution to prove he intended to kill Megan rather than just assault her. The trial preparation is exhaustive. Prosecutors need to demonstrate that Sanchez didn't just shoot Megan during a road rage incident. He hunted her, shot her, kidnapped her, and either killed her intentionally or left her to die knowing she would. They bring in experts. A ballistics expert reconstructs the shooting, proving the attack was deliberate and sustained, not a momentary burst of anger. A forensic pathologist explains that Megan's wound, while eventually fatal without treatment, would have allowed her to survive for hours. Sanchez had time to call 911. He had time to drop her at a hospital. He chose not to. A criminal psychologist profiles Sanchez's behavior, explaining that his need for control made it impossible for him to allow Megan to live as a witness. He'd spent years maintaining total control over his victims. They were all returned alive, traumatized, but breathing, because he controlled every aspect of the encounter. Megan was different. She was shot. She was injured in a way he hadn't planned. Bringing her to a hospital meant losing control. Calling police meant losing control, so he did the only thing his psychology would allow. He eliminated the threat to his freedom. The defense strategy is limited. They can't claim innocence. The physical evidence is too strong. Instead, they argue lack of premeditation. Vincent Sanchez made a terrible, impulsive decision on July 4th. He was intoxicated. His relationship was falling apart. When he saw Ms. Barroso, he made a catastrophic choice in the moment. But this wasn't planned. This wasn't calculated murder. This was a man whose life was spiraling, who'd brought a weapon for an entirely different purpose, who encountered a tragic set of circumstances. Second-degree murder, yes, but not first degree, not premeditated, not death penalty. The problem with this defense, Sanchez's pattern of behavior proves he's capable of sophisticated planning. The videotapes show him calmly executing complex assaults. The surveillance photos prove he stalks victims. The methodology proves he's organized and deliberate. Claiming he suddenly became impulsive and reckless on July 4th contradicts everything else they know about him. Trial begins on March 3rd, 2003, 20 months after Megan's murder. The prosecution calls 37 witnesses. They present 114 pieces of physical evidence. They show portions of the videotapes to establish pattern of behavior, though they spare the jury from the most graphic content. The trial lasts 6 weeks. Testimony is often gut-wrenching. Megan's mother describes the daughter she lost, the dreams that will never be fulfilled, the grandchildren she'll never have, the wedding she'll never attend. Lindsay recounts their last conversation, the accidental phone swap, watching Megan drive away for the final time. Donna identifies Sanchez and describes her assault, forcing herself to relive trauma to ensure justice for Megan. Forensic experts explain the glitter evidence, the blood spatter, the bullet trajectories, the timeline of death. Sanchez's roommate testifies about the 4 a.m. truck washing, the scratch on the vehicle, the missing cleaning rod from the AK-47. The defense calls only 3 witnesses: a psychologist who testifies about Sanchez's troubled childhood, abuse, neglect, foster care, a character witness who describes him as a helpful neighbor, and a firearms expert who suggests the shooting could have been accidental. None of it lands. The jury deliberates for 7 hours. Guilty. First-degree murder with special circumstances. Guilty on all 62 counts. But the penalty phase begins immediately. Now the question is, life imprisonment or death? The prosecution argues, Vincent Sanchez is a predator who showed no mercy to 13 victims we know about, possibly dozens more. He videotaped their suffering for his own entertainment. He stalked Megan Barroso, shot her, kidnapped her, and left her to die in agony in a remote canyon. He has shown no remorse. He has taken no responsibility. He is precisely the type of defendant the death penalty was designed for. The defense argues, Vincent Sanchez's childhood was marked by severe abuse and neglect. He has mental health issues that were never treated. He is not beyond rehabilitation. He is not an ongoing threat in a controlled prison environment. Killing him accomplishes nothing except continuing the cycle of violence. The jury deliberates for 13 hours across 2 days. Verdict: death penalty. Sanchez shows no emotion when the sentence is read. Megan's mother closes her eyes and whispers, "Thank you." But here's the cruel irony. 3 years later, in 2006, California implements a de facto moratorium on executions. Legal challenges, drug availability issues, and changing public opinion bring the death penalty system to a halt. As of 2025, Sanchez sits on death row at San Quentin State Prison, but he will almost certainly never be executed. He's serving what amounts to life imprisonment, the death penalty in name only. He's 55 years old now. If he lives to average life expectancy, he has another 20 years behind bars, costing taxpayers approximately $90,000 per year to house him in death row's enhanced security. Megan Barroso would be 44. She might have finished college, built a career, gotten married, had children. She might have continued dancing, teaching the next generation the art form she loved. She might have been anything. Instead, She's a name on a memorial plaque at Moore Park Community College, a case file in Ventura County's archives, a cautionary tale about predators who hide in plain sight. The conviction of Vincent Sanchez didn't just close one case, it opened many others. In the months following his trial, investigators across California began connecting Sanchez to cold cases dating back to the mid-1990s. A sexual assault in Oxnard in 1996, a home invasion in Thousand Oaks in 1998, a kidnapping in Camarillo in 2000. The patterns matched. The methodology was identical. But without DNA evidence or videotape proof, these cases remained circumstantial. What's confirmed? Sanchez committed at least 13 sexual assaults between 1999 and 2001. The videotapes document them with horrifying clarity. Each victim has testified to their experience. Each has contributed to ensuring Sanchez never walks free. What's suspected? The actual victim count may exceed 30. Women from Nevada, Arizona, and Oregon have contacted investigators with stories that match Sanchez's methodology, but he operated in an era before widespread DNA, databases, before ubiquitous surveillance cameras, before social media could connect disparate victims. Many of these cases will never be conclusively proven. Donna, the woman assaulted 4 days before Megan's murder, has become an advocate for sexual assault survivors. She speaks at universities and community centers about the importance of reporting attacks immediately, preserving evidence, and never blaming yourself for a predator's choices. Vincent Sanchez wanted me to feel ashamed, she says in one speech. He wanted me to think I'd done something to attract his attention. That's what predators do. They make you question yourself. But the truth is simple. He's a monster who made a choice. I didn't invite him. I didn't provoke him. I didn't deserve it. And neither did Megan. Neither did any of us. Lindsay, Megan's best friend, left California after the trial. The guilt of watching Megan drive away that night never fully released its grip. In interviews, she describes the thought that haunts her. If I'd just made her stay, if I'd been more insistent about sleeping on my couch, 5 hours difference, and she'd be alive. Therapists and victim advocates try to reframe this thinking. Sanchez's attack wasn't random. If it hadn't been Megan that night, it would have been someone else. The predator was hunting. The fault lies entirely with him, not with any choice Megan or her friends made. But guilt doesn't respond to logic. Lindsay still carries it, even now. Megan's mother became a force in California advocacy circles, pushing for better forensic evidence preservation, more funding for sexual assault investigations, and harsher penalties for serial predators. She lobbied successfully for Megan's Law in Ventura County, not to be confused with federal Megan's Law, which mandates GPS monitoring for convicted sexual offenders after release and requires lifetime registration even for juvenile offenders. The law has faced legal challenges, with defense attorneys arguing it's too broad and violates privacy rights. But Megan's mother is relentless in defending it. Vincent Sanchez proved that predators don't stop, they escalate. If we'd tracked him after his first offense, if we'd paid attention to the pattern, maybe my daughter would still be alive. The evidence handling in this case became a model for other jurisdictions. The glitter evidence in particular, that single hexagonal flake that connected the victim, the weapon, and the vehicle, demonstrated the importance of microscopic forensic analysis. Crime labs across the country began investing in high magnification equipment and training forensic techs to look for trace evidence that might seem insignificant. That piece of glitter solved the case, the lead forensic examiner later said in a training presentation. Without it, we had circumstantial evidence. Strong, but circumstantial. The glitter physically linked every element of the crime. It proved Sanchez held the rifle, was in the truck, and had contact with Megan. It's the kind of evidence that makes juries certain. The AK-47 became a point of legal controversy as well. Defense attorneys argued that if Sanchez's roommate hadn't given permission for the warrantless search of the house, the rifle evidence would have been excluded. They attempted to suppress it, claiming the initial entry violated Fourth Amendment protections. Judge Martinez ruled against them. The roommate had authority to grant access to common areas and to items in plain view. The rifle was stored in a location where all residents had access. There is no Fourth Amendment violation here. But the case highlighted a grey area in search and seizure law. What happens when one roommate grants permission, but another would have refused? Legal scholars still debate this case in constitutional law classes. The videotapes presented another challenge: how to use them as evidence without re-traumatizing victims. The prosecution ultimately showed only brief excerpts to establish pattern of behavior, with extensive pixelation to protect victims' identities. Full tapes were reviewed by the judge and attorneys but never shown to the jury or public. This approach became standard practice in California courts for similar cases. The evidence must be available for review, but victim privacy and dignity take precedence whenever possible. Sanchez himself has given no interviews and made no public statements since his conviction. He's filed multiple appeals over the years, all denied. His attorneys have argued ineffective counsel, improper jury instructions, tainted evidence, procedural errors, every standard appellate strategy. None have succeeded. He spends 23 hours a day in his cell on death row, 1 hour for exercise in a small yard, no physical contact with other inmates, meals delivered through a slot, mail and phone calls monitored. This is his life now, for however many years remain. Some victims find satisfaction in this. He took our freedom, Donna says. Now he has none. That feels like justice. Others wish he'd been executed. He's still breathing. He still sees sunlight once a day. Megan doesn't. How is that justice? There's no single answer that satisfies everyone. Justice, it turns out, is more complicated than punishment. It's about accountability, yes, but also about preventing future harm, about giving victims a voice, about sending a message to other predators that this behavior has consequences. By those measures, Sanchez's conviction succeeded. The investigation cleared 13 sexual assault cases. It gave 13 women the satisfaction of watching their attacker be held accountable. It prevented him from harming anyone else ever again. And it reminded California that evil often wears an ordinary face. Despite the conviction, critical questions remain. How many victims were there really? The 13 documented on videotape are confirmed, but investigators believe he operated for at least 4 years before he started recording. Rachel's 1997 assault proves earlier victims exist. How many women never reported? How many moved away or couldn't face the trauma of coming forward? Sanchez will never tell. He's maintained silence on this question. Estimates range from 20 to 40 victims. Did he have accomplices? Some of the videotapes show prepared sites, blankets already laid out, rooms specifically arranged. Did someone help him scout locations? The evidence says no, Sanchez acted alone. But the sophistication of his planning raises doubts. Criminal psychologists note that organized serial predators sometimes collaborate in early stages before escalating to solo attacks. If Sanchez had a partner in the 1990s, that person was never identified. What happened in the hours between Megan's shooting and her death? The forensic evidence shows she lived for some time after being shot. The autopsy couldn't determine exact time of death due to decomposition. Did Sanchez assault her in those hours? Probably. The evidence of different underwear suggests he followed his pattern. Did she suffer? The wound alone would have caused immense pain. Being conscious during a kidnapping, knowing you're dying, unable to escape. It's unimaginable. We'll never know the details, and perhaps that's a mercy for her family. Why didn't anyone see Sanchez transporting Megan? He drove from Moore Park to the Santa Susana Mountains, about a 20-minute drive, even at 4 a.m. Surely someone saw the truck. Someone must have passed him on the highway. But no witnesses ever came forward. Either they didn't notice anything suspicious, or they did notice and didn't realize what they'd seen until it was too late to matter. What was the anonymous tip about? The caller who reported seeing someone load a body into a burgundy sedan near the mountains. Was that legitimate? Sanchez drove a pickup truck, not a sedan. Did the caller see something unrelated? Was it a false tip from someone seeking attention? Or did Sanchez have a burgundy vehicle the investigation never uncovered? This remains unsolved. Could this have been prevented? Sanchez had prior arrests for trespassing and other minor offences, but nothing that would have flagged him as a sexual predator. The assaults in the late 1990s were reported but never solved. Should investigators have connected the cases earlier? Probably not. The attacker wore a mask, left no DNA, struck in different jurisdictions. The crimes shared methodology, but had no physical evidence linking them until the videotapes were discovered. Could improved information sharing between police departments have helped? Maybe. But realistically, Sanchez was caught only because of his own mistake, getting arrested for burglary, while evidence sat in his bedroom. Without that, he might still be free. Is he still mentally competent? Sanchez is now 55 years old and has spent 22 years in isolation on death row. Studies show that prolonged solitary confinement causes psychological deterioration, hallucinations, paranoia, cognitive decline. Is the person sitting in San Quentin today even the same person who committed these crimes? And does it matter? Should punishment continue, even if the person being punished has mentally deteriorated beyond recognition? These philosophical questions have no easy answers. What was going through his mind? Psychologists have theorized endlessly about Sanchez's motivations: childhood trauma, need for control, sexual dysfunction, power dynamics. But none of these explanations fully capture why someone would systematically terrorize and assault dozens of women over years. What need was he fulfilling? What compulsion drove him to videotape these crimes? Not for profit, since he never distributed the tapes, but simply to relive them. The human capacity for evil remains, in some ways, incomprehensible. Vincent Sanchez wanted to be forgotten. He wanted his crimes erased from memory. He wanted Megan Barroso to become just another statistic, another missing person that fades from public consciousness. If you believe Megan mattered, if you believe we must remember so this never happens again, smash that like button and subscribe. People like Sanchez depend on our silence, our short attention spans, our willingness to move on to the next story. Prove him wrong. This same pattern of predation is happening right now somewhere in America. Another Vincent Sanchez is out there, perfecting his system, convincing himself he's too smart to get caught. Awareness is the first defense. Knowledge is power. Remembering these cases prevents future victims. Like if you believe every life matters. Like if you believe justice isn't optional. Like if you believe we protect the innocent by exposing predators. Only those who side with monsters will refuse. Which side are you on? Prove it now. July 5th, 2025. 24 years since Megan Barroso died in a canyon at age 20. There's no memorial at the site where her body was found. The terrain is too remote, too rugged. But at Moorpark Community College, in the Student Center, a bronze plaque bears her name alongside a quote she loved: "Dance like nobody's watching." Every July, a small group gathers there, former classmates, co-workers, community members who followed her case. They share memories, light candles, and remind each other that she was more than a victim. She was a friend, a daughter, a person with dreams. The case changed California in measurable ways. Funding for sexual assault investigations increased. Cross-jurisdictional information sharing improved. Forensic technology advanced. Victim advocacy services expanded. These are concrete positive outcomes from terrible tragedy. But the broader lesson is more uncomfortable. Predators hide in plain sight. Vincent Sanchez had roommates who never suspected, a girlfriend who thought he was devoted to her, co-workers who described him as reliable and friendly. He attended neighborhood barbecues. He helped friends move. He presented as normal. This is what makes cases like this so disturbing. We want monsters to look like monsters. We want warning signs we can spot from a distance. But real predators are often charming, helpful, ordinary. They're the person you trust to watch your house while you're on vacation. The guy who jumps your car in a parking lot when the battery dies. The uncomfortable truth: you can't always tell. You can't spot evil by looking at it. What you can do is listen when victims report. Believe them. Support them. Take allegations seriously even when they seem to implicate someone nice. Multiple women reported assaults that matched Sanchez's pattern before Megan was killed. But without evidence, those cases went cold. The system didn't connect them. Resources weren't allocated, and the predator kept hunting. This isn't about blaming investigators. They work within constraints of evidence and budgets. It's about recognizing that when we dismiss reports because they seem implausible, when we question victims because the accused seems like such a good guy, we create cover for predators. Megan's case also illustrates the role of chance in criminal justice. If Sanchez hadn't been arrested for burglary, the videotapes might never have been discovered. If his roommate hadn't retrieved the bag from the dumpster, evidence might have been lost. If the forensics team hadn't found that single piece of glitter, the physical evidence might not have been enough for conviction. Justice, it turns out, sometimes depends on luck. That's a troubling thought. How many other Vincent Sanchezes are out there who haven't made the crucial mistake? How many predators operate in jurisdictions without advanced forensic capabilities? How many crimes go unsolved not because they're unsolvable, but because the right piece of evidence just hasn't been found yet? These questions don't have satisfying answers. What we can do is what Megan's mother has dedicated her life to: advocate for better resources, better training, better systems. Push for laws that protect potential victims rather than waiting to punish perpetrators after lives are destroyed. Support survivors who come forward despite the trauma of reliving their worst experiences. And remember Megan Barroso, 20 years old, driving home after a perfect day with friends, believing she was safe because safe was all she'd ever known. Remember that evil found her anyway. Remember that 13 other women survived where she didn't. Remember that justice came too late for her, but just in time to prevent more deaths. Her story matters. Not because of how she died, but because of who she was and what her case revealed about the systems meant to protect us. Vincent Sanchez isn't the last serial predator in California. He's not even the last one in Ventura County. The case of Keith Jesperson, the happy face killer who operated along the West Coast, involves a pattern even more disturbing than Sanchez's. His confession letters to media outlets revealed a level of narcissism and depravity that makes this case look tame by comparison. And unlike Sanchez, Jesperson killed 8 confirmed victims across multiple states. That investigation is live on this channel right now. Click that video to see how FBI profilers finally tracked down a killer who'd been taunting law enforcement for 5 years. The forensic breakthrough in that case changed how serial killer investigations are conducted nationwide. Before you go, one more thing. Megan Barroso, born March 15, 1981, died July 5, 2001, 20 years old. She loved dancing, her baby brother, and making people smile. Gone, but not forgotten. If this story affected you, consider donating to RAIN, Rape, Abuse and Incest National Network, at rain.org, or supporting your local sexual assault services center. These organizations provide critical support to survivors and work to prevent future violence. Thank you for bearing witness to Megan's story.